It is Benji Blue Shoes here with the Jonathan Baumeister. We're coming at you from West Coast Swing Online, and tonight, as I said, we get a rare, exclusive interview with the Jonathan Baumeister. Hey Jonathan, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Doing all right, I'm doing all right. I think I have you up a little too loud. That should fix it. Okay, cool. So I am going to go to YouTube and Facebook. Oh, sound is good. I'm gonna mute that, and then I'm gonna go over here, and I'm gonna get us connected on the Facebook, so that way I can see everybody's comments as we are going through this. Refresh this, and then we'll be good to go. Unfortunately with Facebook, I have to wait until we actually go live before I'm able to pull up the video.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Boom, there we are. Perfect. So hope everybody's doing all right tonight. Boom, I'm gonna mute myself there so I don't hear myself talking. It's just weird. Okay. So Jonathan has been around the dance scene for, I'm not gonna give the number of years, he can give that if he wants to. But he's been in the West Coast swing scene, the country scene. You've been a ballroom, or not a ballroom, you've been a professional instructor, you've competed as well. So Jonathan, tell us a little bit about you, where you started, your journey to where you're at now.
Okay, started out with some bad luck. One of my sister's friends back in high school, there's a bar here in Birmingham that had a teen night. And so on the teen night, they had a thing, it was Sunday nights, and one of my sister's friends asked my sister if she could go. When she asked my mom was like, well, as long as your brother can go with you, then you can go. So, of course, I tagged along as a little brother, went out there and saw this world of line dance and country dance, and it was in the heyday of country music. So I just kind of fell in love with it. Ended up being, luckily, I was good at it. A couple of years later, they were letting a few of us in every night. They had a restaurant license, so they could. There was a competitive team here in Birmingham that asked me to try out for them, and that's how I got into the competition scene. Started out in teams, did a little bit of individual line, then moved into couples, and then a couple of years later, a swing team over in Atlanta asked me to try out for them, and that's how I got into the swing circuit. Competed a couple of years with them, and then did some couples on the swing circuit in classic and showcase, and then came back to country because of course that's where I started. And so back and forth, do a couple events on both circuits and just having fun. And then got hired out on several events to DJ and to provide sound systems. Ended up getting up to Division I showcase. We won Worlds in 2017 in Open Showcase, so then got into Masters. Now working with a new partner, so see how that goes.
Nice. So for those of you who aren't as familiar with the country scene, that's what Jonathan's talking about by winning Division I and then getting into Masters. Within the country world, we start off in Division IV in couples and work our way up to Division I. Once you get into Division I, then you have to win your way into Masters. So Masters are what Brian and Megan competed. It's the best of the best in the country world. So Jonathan and his partner at the time won their way into Masters, and then in Showcase, which is different than Classic. So there's Showcase and Classic in country. Classic is, you don't know your music beforehand, you have your partner, you have your routine, and then you go out and you dance your routine on the floor with other people. Jonathan, you're gonna do a much better job of explaining Showcase than I will though, so I will let you do that.
All right, so of course in the swing world there's Classic and Showcase as well. So a lot of the differences, or the similarities, are the same. As far as Showcase, there's lifts, where in swing there's a lift minimum. There you have to have X number of lifts, and one has to be overhead. In the country world, there is no lift minimum, there's no lift requirement, but the lift possibilities are there. You know your music, and you get to choreograph to the phrase of every song in each dance. Where Classic, like you said, you stay on the floor, you don't know your music ahead of time, which that's where there is a difference between swing and country, because in swing, even in the classic division, you know your music because it's self-selected. But in country division one, they can do flight, so everybody can be on the floor at the same time, much like Masters Classic in country. And then showcase Masters, though, will be all individual for every dance currently anyway. Yeah, that's pretty much the differences there.
Okay. So moving on from that, difference in country and swing as far as how the classic and the showcase divisions go. Jonathan, what about teaching? How long have you been teaching and what have you been doing there?
Well, my first gig teaching was when I was about 18 in a bar. Started teaching there, and honestly, if anybody wants to start teaching and there's a bar to teach in, that's the best environment, in my opinion, to learn how to teach.
How do you get in a bar at 18?
Well, okay, so it was that club where I started dancing. You know, they had a restaurant license and they had their team night.
On gotcha. Sundays. Okay.
So the people who were teaching the Sunday nights before decided they wanted to stop, and I was already competing by that time, so they asked me if I wanted to fill in and do it.
That makes sense.
So yeah, but it's a great environment, honestly, because people in a bar generally aren't there to actually learn how to dance. They're there to learn just enough to get on the floor. So it gets you in that mindset to be able to stay with people and keep them kind of entertained while they're still learning stuff. To where a lot of times if you start out in a studio, sometimes you'll get in-depth too soon and not be able to get the personality part across and have fun with people.
That makes sense.
And, that's no fun, and it doesn't really make you a whole lot of money.
Fair enough.
Right.
Perfect. And then you mentioned DJing. Tell us a little bit about how you got into DJing and what you've done with that so far.
Okay. So DJing goes back a lot further for me. When I was like 7 years old, in our church, we had a guy who was our audio tech. And my parents worked with the youth group and stuff like that. So he kind of took me under his wing and taught me how to work sound equipment and set up sound equipment, do teardowns, all that kind of stuff. And he rented out equipment. So he had me go around with him some to help set up systems and run systems. So when I got into dancing, going out to the clubs and stuff like that, one of my buddies ended up being the DJ out there. And he kind of taught me how to beat mix and how to get into that. But I already understood the equipment. So, of course, compared to someone just starting out DJing, I at least had the equipment side already, under my belt. So it was just learning the DJ skills.
Okay.
So in that with also at that point, I'd been dancing for a few years. I understood what music does what and, how they work a rotation, stuff like that. So it was less learning than it typically would have to be.
That makes sense. Sense. Very cool. And then the other thing, just getting through Jonathan's credentials at the beginning of this, the other thing is Jonathan helps us out on cruises as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So I went to on the cruise last time with you to the Caribbean.
That was great.
Yeah, super fun. And Jonathan is slotted for anybody going on the cruise to Alaska. Jonathan's slotted for that one as well.
Right.
So
it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah.
Yes, I'm excited for you all for it. I won't be going, but I'm excited for those who are going. We are going to go ahead and transition and jump into a question that we have from George on YouTube. And the question is, are we experiencing many cancellations of events on the East Coast? And I'll let you go first, Jonathan, on this one. The reason I want to start with this question because it goes into we're all feeling the effects of COVID right now, and it kind of starts that conversation. So,
right. Personally, from what I've seen, not only the East Coast, it's nationwide, worldwide.
Yep.
Just today, Colorado Classic, as far as the country scene goes, they just canceled today.
Did they really?
The U.S. Open, the Open of Swing canceled. Was it yesterday, the day before?
Oh wow.
So I mean, that one, of course, being the biggest event as far as, for country in comparison, that's our Worlds, just seeing that those canceled, and of course, Grand Nationals, that should be here in a couple of weeks. It's not going to happen over in Atlanta. So that's the biggest on the East Coast as far as the Southeast anyway.
Wow.
I haven't been to New York in a couple of years, so I'm not sure how big their event's grown. But being that Grand Nationals especially is swing, shag, hustle, Lindy, everything mixed in. To me, that's one of the most fun events on the East Coast. And of course, Mike and Leanne are great people that run it, and it's run very well as an event. It was sad to see that one doesn't go, because if anybody that does know myself, Ron Muse and myself, we like to co-DJ a lot, and we try to get each other on staff at different events when we are there as DJs. That's one event that we both go to every year just for fun. Like, we're not on staff. We go there and just hang out with people and sit and talk and get to, just mingle and hang out. So, I mean, that should show you kind of what we think of the event.
Yeah.
As far as we try to go to that one, even though we're not working.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah, too many events, I think. Well, okay, I can't say too many events because we don't know at this point medically what's going on and how everything is. So I'm not saying too many on that, but too many as far as feeling, wishing we were there dancing. Yeah, so many events are canceling. And honestly, in my perspective, and this is me as a non-medical person, I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, especially dancing, we're breathing in each other's face. We're not sleeping enough, so our immune systems are down.
Yep.
We're probably drinking alcohol instead of water, so our immune system's down.
Don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I might be speaking about myself. I don't know, but we're not doing the things that we should be to take care of ourselves when we're at these events. So yeah, it would be a perfect breeding ground for something like that. So yeah, I think the event directors are doing the right thing.
Yeah. I didn't realize that Colorado Classic had canceled. That's because that is scheduled for the last weekend of June, correct?
I believe so.
I think that's when it is. So for them to be canceling, that's a big deal. I haven't heard about Indie Dance X yet. As far as I know, Melissa's still planning on putting that one on. But I also know that she's working on some creative ways to make the event happen to where the ballroom's also not as full. So it's definitely a safer way to go about it. But We'll see. I haven't heard anything on it yet.
And just to help people, just because I've worked for a few events and kind of see how it works, a lot of people are just seeing, hey, these are canceling months out in advance. Let me share a little bit of light of why they're canceling so far out. Okay, first of all, the biggest thing is when they do a dance event, they guarantee the hotel, we're going to sell out this block of rooms. If they don't sell out that block of rooms, they owe the hotel money.
Yep.
So if the hotel is holding them to that block of rooms, if they don't sell out that block of rooms, they're not making enough money to pay for the event anyway. And then they're also owing the hotel money that they didn't make off the event. And they still have to pay their staff to come in.
Yep.
And then a lot of the events that bring people from overseas, right now, there's a lot of people who can't fly overseas because of some of the travel restrictions. So if you're looking at stuff like that, it makes more sense of why something 3 months out is getting canceled, because today or tomorrow is the date that the hotel is the go, no-go date for the hotel. Either we sign the contract that we're going to sell out this block, or we don't.
Yep.
And being that far out, you don't know if you can get your staff all there.
Yep. And some other things on that, not just the block, tied into hotel rooms or hotel nights sometimes is the ballroom space. Some events are able to get a discount on the ballroom space, so it might cost, normally to rent it for 3 days, might cost you $15,000. And they say, part of the deal, they say, we're going to get this many hotel nights, and the hotel might only charge them $5,000.
Right.
And so not getting that is a $10,000 swing in the wrong direction for the event.
Quickly.
Very quickly, yeah. Brian's talked about that a few times too. It's not a slow, gradual change. There is a line, and if you don't hit that line, everything falls off financially.
Yeah. It's like, okay, so if you made the line, then it's slow progress.
Yes. Then you might make money.
You're hurting bad.
Yeah.
Correct.
Moose chimed in and said that apparently Liberty Swing is canceled as well. I don't know when that's usually scheduled for.
I'm not really sure the weekend for that one either, but that's Linda event, and John's a great guy too. If you have a chance, go to that event. He's a good guy to support.
Yeah. So some craziness going on with COVID. That's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about as well, Jonathan. I don't see any questions right now. Please put in your questions as we go, so that way we can answer them and have some fun conversation. And it doesn't have to be all the COVID stuff, but that's what we're going to talk about for a second.
And I do have a couple that were posted earlier on where I shared
Oh, yes.
We can go to that in a minute.
Yes.
But yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to talk a little bit about, because you and I were very much in the same boat of being independent instructors. So yes, I teach here in Brian's studio in Louisville, Kentucky, Dance Louisville, but I was also branching out to other cities. So I was going up north to Indianapolis, and I was teaching up there, and then I was going down to Nashville and teaching as well. So outside of the city of Louisville, I was very much an independent instructor, teaching where I could find a place to teach and teaching the students I was able to get or rustle up or people were sent my way. And I know you were very much the same way. So how has this impacted you from a teaching perspective?
Horribly.
Do you have any students that are planning on coming back?
Yeah, I do. Okay, so it's been really rough. Not only do I teach independently, I also own my own business doing screen printing.
Yep.
And like I touched on earlier, I rent out sound equipment to events. The forethought before all this happened was that I had my business diversified far enough to where, if one thing falls off, I'm good. But I never thought of a pandemic where we couldn't be in groups of people. And so every aspect of my business bases around being able to be in groups of people.
Yeah.
So unlike some people who sat around and complained, I did go get a night job. So, that's, in my opinion, I know, knowing Brian's personality and the way he is about the GoFundMe pages and stuff like that, he's more the advocate of, hey, help yourself if you can.
Yep.
And that's kind of the way I saw it is, my family's helped me out a ton as far as getting the business started, stuff like that. But when March happened and we closed everything, I ran out to Peach State and Peach State canceled. I do some of their shirts. I do shirts for a couple of dance personalities and stuff like that. So I lost like almost $3,000 of profit in a day with everything shutting down. It was like, oh no. I realized quickly, okay, this is not going to be just an overnight thing. I got to do something to get an income. So luckily I did that. But however, back to like what you're talking about, the dance studio that I taught in here in Birmingham, they allowed us to come in as long as the city would let us and teach privately to students who felt comfortable with it. And especially since one of my students is a line dance competitor as well as a couple, so we worked on just our line dance stuff. And then when the city goes, okay, now you have to shut down if you're not essential, it's like, okay, we can't do that anymore. So that of course hurt the studio to the point to where they announced to us that they're not going to reopen. So so that makes it even harder. So now I'm looking for a new place to open once things do start proceeding better. But it does think that's it, because it was a beautiful space. It was exposed brick, nice floating floor. Wow. It was across the street overlooking the Alabama Theater, big light sign from
that's fun.
Early century stuff. It was a beautiful space. So that makes it a little hard. But as far as now, it's going to be starting with just a small group of students, which is kind of where I was anyway. But once I do find a place to start teaching again, it's going to be just like a brand new instructor looking for people, because you don't even have at this point a background and stuff to be able to show to anybody.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Yeah, that's kind of the same story with me. I went back to Humana. I was at Humana for a while and I love being at Humana. And I left back in September of 2019 in order to try and proceed with dancing being my full-time career, because it's what I want to do. But unfortunately with all this, I've gone back to Humana and I'm working there now, which is good and bad. At least I'm getting to work from home, which is nice, but it's not teaching dance. So what do you think the next steps are going to be as far as getting everything going again? And as we we're seeing states begin to come back and slowly reopen. I know in Louisville or in Kentucky, we're looking at potentially being able to start teaching private lessons again at the end of this month, beginning of June. I know Indiana is opening up a little bit quicker. So what are your thoughts as far as, what's your game plan? How are you going to get back into it?
That's going to be hard. And I try to keep each of my students on their own game plan anyway. So it's going to be different per student, but I do see it being for everybody starting out slowly. Because I mean, if we jump in there, it's just like riding a bike or something like that. Yeah, if you haven't ridden a bike in years and you go jump on a bike, you're going to tire yourself out real quick if you don't start slow, and you're never going to want to ride a bike again.
Yep.
So it's the same thing with dance. We're going to have to get, we've all been sitting around on the couch and being lazy, or working from home on the couch watching Netflix or whatever.
We'll never do that all day.
We're not sponsored by Netflix, by the way. So at the same time, I mean, I know most of us aren't near as active as we usually are. So it's going to be the fact of, okay, let's start something slow. Let's start with basics, start with a lot of drills.
Yep.
That's stuff that we can pace ourselves on as we start feeling tired, stuff like that. We can still take care of our body, which as a dancer, it's not stress enough. Taking care of your body and making sure that, we really do the things to stay healthy. Because, I mean, you see us at events, especially the pros, after we get finished competing, we're all sitting around drinking, having conversation, having fun, joking, being stupid.
Y'all joke sitting around drinking. I don't do that.
Anymore?
Yeah. Yes.
Anymore, right. But, I mean, you still sit around joking.
Yeah, 100%, yes.
What they don't see is they don't see us before we compete in our room stretching and all that kind of stuff, and the way that we prepare. Because especially once you get masters and stuff like that, they don't typically see you getting ready for the show.
Yep.
Because the ballroom's closed. Where when our students and newer dancers are getting ready to compete, they're in there with a ton of other people in the ballroom. They're just in the corner of the ballroom, and you get to see them.
Yeah.
Pros do the same thing, all on the same level, or even a bigger level, just to make sure that they are able to put on a good show for everybody.
Yeah.
And honestly, in my opinion, when we were dancing masters, it wasn't so much about, okay, now we're in masters, we got to win this thing. It was, we're in masters, now we have to put on a big show. That was where the pressure was for me, as far as my internal pressure was. We have to put on a good show for these people. So, if you got hurt in the middle of the show, you're not putting on a good show.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you take care of yourself. So the same thing as getting back into teaching again and learning again is we got to take it slow. We got to be good to our bodies and make sure we don't mess anything up.
Yeah, I've actually been taking this time. I love that you took the conversation in that direction, because I've been taking some of the time. I spent March and the majority of April not doing anything. But over the past couple of weeks, I've been listening to different books like Atomic Habits and The Talent Code. And I've been trying to work that into my practicing. And one of the big things that's very interesting to hear is, what is the number one thing that all of your top level athletes, your Michael Jordans and your Tiger Woodses and all of your top level athletes, what is one of the biggest things that they have in common? They showed up.
Work ethic.
Yeah, no, they showed up.
Oh, yeah, shut up.
Right? It doesn't matter if they just showed up and they only practiced for 15 minutes, or they showed up and they practiced for 5 hours. They showed up. And so that's one of the things that I'm working on, is things from those books, of applying them to my own practice, and of course getting myself back into the habit of showing up. Right. Because it's so hard. Even if, I'm lucky in that I teach at a studio, and so I can come in here by myself. It's not business or anything like that, right? But even if it's just at home, of showing up to run your drills in front of your bathroom mirror, or to practice the way that you transition your weight through your feet while you're watching Netflix, so that way you're not sitting down the entire time. There's a lot of stuff that we can do while we're at home to help prepare us for whenever things get ready to open back up and transition us back out into dancing and being back into the shape that we need to be in.
Yeah, instead of round.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. Round is not the shape that we want to be in.
Round is not the shape we need to be in.
Nothing wrong with being round, but
no.
Yeah. So I think it's a great point to bring up that, that's something that we're going to want to start thinking about. How do we transition our bodies back into it? Personally, I hurt my knee back in January, and I was doing pretty well with it up until everything happened. I was running 2 or 3 miles a day on it and doing pretty well, but now that I spent a month and a half, close to 2 months just sitting, I can barely make it through my waltz routine right now. And that's just because my left knee is so weak from where I wasn't working it for a month and a half, 2 months. And so that's something that I'm having to go through and figure out, how do I strengthen this? And I actually reached out to a physical therapist, and they're helping me figure out some exercises to go through and help strengthen my knee and slowly bring it back up to where it needs to be for the level of dancing that I'm used to doing.
All right.
So going on to another question here, Kayla, one of our students here at Dance Louisville. How you doing, Kayla? She asked, the Pro-Am division is what drives the industry. How do we see the lack of lessons impacting the events that do decide to run? So thinking about Indy, one of the questions is, well, if we open up at the end of June, that gives people 3, maybe 4 weeks of practice before they go to the floor and they put their stuff on the floor. I have my thoughts on this, but we'll start with you, Jonathan.
Yeah. First, hey, Kayla. That's a tough one. Just being completely honest, is tough because I don't think there's going to be a perfect answer for this.
Correct.
It's going to hurt for sure. But one thing you might want to drop to, and the event directors aren't going to like this answer, but I'm not an event director, so sorry.
We love you, Melissa.
Yeah, love you, Melissa. But I mean, the rules are rules for a reason. In Pro-Am and Divisions 4, 3, and 2, as far as the country world goes, you don't have to dance an overall for it to count for a Worlds qualifier. Not at every event. You have to do it once during the year.
Yep.
And then 3 events, or the other 2 events can be just 2-step, right? So what I would suggest, as far as if I had, especially like Dance Louisville's situation where they're going to have a ton of people trying to get ready back up to speed really fast to be able to compete, is pushing towards, hey, just do 1 or 2 dances and where you feel comfortable with it, unless you've been practicing on your own, like hopefully most students have. Now, if they've been practicing on their own and doing drills and stuff like that and not having to remember choreography all over again, which is where I would be if I were a student, because I know my work ethic. So just being completely honest. Now, I mean, if they've been working on their own stuff like that, sure, dance 5 dances, dance 8 dances, cool, go for it. But if they're not, and if they're not in the best shape and they've been sitting around like some of us have, maybe, yeah, dance 1 or 2 dances and make it count, and use it for a positive. Don't force yourself to get in 5 dances and be like, oh, I feel so bad about 3 of those dances because they really weren't ready. I know, as far as myself, personality type, I'm an IFP, so I never feel like I'm doing good enough for what I'm doing or for what I want to do. So if I go in there on a routine and I know 3 of them aren't ready and I put them on the floor, I'm not going to feel good about what I did. So it's going to be harder for me in the future to put more on the floor.
Yeah.
So if I go in there with 2 that I'm comfortable with, I'm going to perform those better and not be worried about the other 3 that day. And then at the next event, it's going to be even easier for me to step up and add more to the program, because then I feel better about what I did the first time.
Yeah.
Now, Division 1 and Masters, you don't have that choice. You have to dance 3 overalls.
Well, yeah, and slightly different level as well.
Right.
I have a different opinion on that. I think that's interesting. And the reason that I say that is because I think it kind of depends on what your goal is and what you're wanting to go through as well. For me, I don't see the downside in going out and putting them on the floor if that's something you can do personality-wise. Because for me, the goal would be in a Pro-Am setting if I was still the AM, and even for my AMs, the goal is to get out and get used to being on the floor again. because you're not going to get very many opportunities to do that. We're going to have a ton of time to, hopefully we'll have time to practice in the studio and get things up and comfortable again. But even if we go out and we do our 5 dances and we get through polka and we say, we're going to go out and we're going to have fun. But the biggest thing being, like what you said, Jonathan, is to have fun. The goal for me isn't the qualifier necessarily. It's to go out and get the more floor time, because even if we're not in a position where we're able to go out there and do it as well as we did at Worlds, let's be honest, our first comp of the year is not as good as it is at Worlds anyways. For most people, we usually take a little bit of a break, but I would say get out there and try, like, you're gonna have issues with choreography one way or the other, but you're there. So let's put stuff on the floor, let's have some fun, and let's see what happens. Because the other thing is, you gotta remember, everybody else is gonna be in the same boat too.
Right.
And so because of that, everybody's going to be having the same issues. It's going to be a pretty level playing field. So if you go out there and you just try to have fun, I think people will be surprised at how well they will do just going out and trying to have fun and not worrying about the results, which, by the way, is kind of the way you should probably do most of your competitions anyways. Looking at marks is not the best way to be happy.
And I mean, looking at the differences in our opinions here, that's exactly why stuff like this is great.
Yeah.
And why I'm loving seeing that there are a lot of dancers doing things like this, because, just because I have an opinion on something doesn't mean that has to be the way it goes. And like I said a minute ago about I try to teach each student differently, or keep them on their own pace. I would have this discussion with each student and see where their feelings are and what they're thinking, what their personality type is. Because, I mean, if they're like your personality or like Brian's personality, either one of you guys could come out there and not have a routine and be like, hey, let's go, let's do it anyway.
Yep.
And that's because that's how your driving personality is. Where somebody with my personality, okay, if I'm doing line dance, and it's only me out there, I'm the only one that's affecting, okay, cool, let's do it. Off the cuff, off the fly, I don't care. Let's have fun with it.
Yeah.
But when I have a partner out there or something like that, I think, because that's my personality, I think more of them than me on how it affects them. So, I mean, as the Pro-Am goes, it's more up to the AM as far as, 100%. Okay, where's your comfort level? What do you feel?
Yep. Yeah. Now, as far as it impacting events, I honestly don't know, because I'm not an event director. What I'm hoping for is that people will still attend the events, because we still want to support our events. I'm planning on being at Indie Dance X at the end of June. It's always a very fun event. Melissa does an amazing job, and I'm planning on being there. And I had a couple of students that asked me, they said, Ben, should we register for this? Because Melissa's doing some very cool things with registration where she's waiting to charge people simply because she doesn't want them, she's trying to provide a really good experience for her customer, and she doesn't want them to be in a bad situation where they paid for something, it gets canceled, and then they have to go through everything in order to get reimbursed for their money. Right. So they're like, we can go ahead and sign up and we don't have to pay yet, which is brilliant. And I said, well, I'm going to be there. So if you want to go and you want to dance, that's awesome. I'm going to be there and we'll be able to put your routines on the floor and we'll make it happen. But if you don't want to go, then that is your prerogative. Right. I saw Moose just said events need spectators, and that is something that I think is going to be what actually affects the events more than the Pro-Am. I think the people who want to dance are going to go and they're going to dance. And I think there's going to be some people on the fence, but I think Brian likes to say about 40 to 50% of people are hardcore and they're going to go. I think the spectators are going to hurt events more than anything, because I don't know if we're going to be allowed to have spectators. And that's going to be a state-by-state thing too.
True.
I know that in the middle of June, I think it's like June 15th or something like that, it's whenever you're allowed to have gatherings of more than 250 people. How is that going to affect the event? How does that affect your schedule? How does that affect social dancing? Like, that sort of stuff is what I'm curious about. Will there be social dancing?
In my opinion, that's the best part of the swing circuit and the country circuit both, is that they have so much social dancing and so much time to meet people from all over the world.
Yeah.
from some of the ballroom events that I've been to, they don't share that as much. And, you meet some people, but it's not like the swing circuit, our country, where that's a bigger part of it, in my opinion, than actually competing.
Yeah.
It's getting to know people from, somewhere that you would never travel to, and then wanting to go travel there because you've met people from there. So, yeah.
100%. And I think it'll be very interesting. I know Melissa has a big line dance contingent that goes to her event too. So I think that it'll be interesting to see if everybody piles into the line dance room and all your couples dancers are trying to figure out line dances, because I know I'm not very good at it.
Yes, switch your rooms to get the line dancers a bigger room to have more.
Who knows? It's going to be interesting though, right?
Now, I will say this, and Moose is going to think this is funny. In case you don't know who I'm talking about, Ron Muse, that's in the question. That's Moose. That's one of my buddy DJs. We keep each other working as much as possible. He and I love people being in the social room as late as possible, because that means we have something to do and that we're doing something right, hopefully. But I will say this, as a line dance competitor in the past, Sunday mornings for line dance and for Division I showcase, guess what? There's no spectators. Everybody stayed out way too late in the morning. And a lot of times, like if I have to compete in the morning, I'll get Moose to shut the room down because I have to get a couple hours sleep at least, because there are nights that we shut down the ballroom as they're coming to clean it out to be able to start it up for the next morning.
100%.
So, yeah, dancers can do it, but it's not near as much fun. It's so much more fun with a couple, at least 15, 20 people in there yelling for you.
Yeah.
You're in there with only other competitors in there that are all changing at the same time that you're dancing, and then you're changing while they're dancing. It's the same thing as dancing in a studio and being done with it. So, yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how all that impacts the events. I do not envy Melissa and Kay Bryant, right? Anybody who's opening up or who's the first events as we're opening up, it's definitely a very tough position. But I do know that they're all doing everything they can to make sure that we're safe while we're dancing and to be able to provide us that thing as well. So thank you all very much.
Right. Okay, so since we've talked about Melissa.
Yeah.
She had a couple of questions earlier before we started. So let me touch those real quick.
Melissa Culbertson?
Cool. Yes.
Hey, okay.
Yeah. So first she asked, I have it written over here so I can read it.
Hey, that works for me. Makes my job easier.
She asked how we remember the best songs.
Oh, okay.
So in the DJ software that I use, and I believe in the software that Moose uses as well, there's a couple of different things that you can do to make it to where you remember a song. First of all, the software that I use, anything that I've played in the complete song, it highlights, and it leaves it highlighted a different color than anything else. So if I've only listened to part of the song and then I stop it, it doesn't highlight that song. So when I scroll through my list of songs, I have things that I've played, and it also has a play number of how many times I've actually played that song. So if I'm scrolling through and I'm in a pinch and I need something really quick, I'm going to scroll through and see something that I've played in the double digits, or I haven't had this laptop long enough to have triple digits, but the bigger list of digits. Okay, this is a good song because I play it this many times. Apparently it's good, so I can drag it and play it real quick if I'm in a pinch for it. The second thing is that if you look in the DJ booth and it's one of the DJs that are a late night DJ.
Can you define that?
A late night DJ?
Yeah, we're just kind of like the differences in what you would call that?
Okay, so a DJ that I'm talking about is for social more so than a competition DJ, because a competition DJ generally has their heat list, so they've already done their song selection for the heats.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not necessarily playing the room, and so DJs, especially if you're trained or you're well seasoned into DJing, one thing that you learn is how to play a room. So what you'll do is, and you'll see this in the beginning of the set, or you won't see it as much from Moose and myself if it's one of the events we play every year, because we know a lot of the people there, so we can do it through the night and hide it. But typically, like if I go to California and I've never played an event in California before, I'm going to start my set out. I'm going to play like a slow blues song. I'm going to play a fast, like top 40 song. I'm going to play a slow lyrical song and then like a faster blues song and get my feel of who's dancing to what styles. If they're liking one speed, they're liking a different speed.
Okay.
Liking one genre over another. And so that way I can look and go, okay, now this group of people hasn't danced in 2 or 3 songs. And as a DJ, it's my responsibility to get them to dance.
Makes sense.
Not just to keep a majority of the floor full. I need to get everybody to feel that they're included at some point in the night on a regular basis.
Okay.
So I know that they dance slow blues. So guess what's coming up next? I'm pulling a slow blues song. So that way we're working the room and we're making sure every group of people dances. Now, I might find that like, say, top 40 middle speed is doing better than anything else. So your majority of the night might sound like that. But when we differ from that, it's going to be things that we're doing to pick up the different groups to make sure they still feel like they're welcome in the room and that they're there to have fun while they want to be there. So another thing that you'll see is a well-seasoned DJ or someone who plays other than the competition part. You'll see them with a set of headphones.
Yeah.
The question was, how do you remember the best songs? Answer is, I don't. Now, my roommate, my buddy, he's here in the office that we're borrowing for this. He's a club DJ. He's the guy who taught me how to club DJ. He has one of those memories where literally he can go, this song, and he's spot on with where the BPM range is and stuff like that. And he was a club DJ for years. That's what he did. I envy people who can do that, but I can't do that. So I'm going to scroll through and I'm going to sample songs. I'm going to listen and go, okay, I think this might be this song, especially some of those songs that the title has nothing to do with what the song is. And you're like,
fair enough.
I have no idea if this is the right song or not. So I will never play a song without sampling it first. Even if it's one that I know, I'm going to listen to it first.
Huh.
Just to make sure that, okay, this is starting where I want it to start. It is the right version of the song that I want it to start.
Fair.
Stuff like that. Because I've gotten in trouble before. Sunday afternoon at Peach State, I remember it so well, and I'll never make the mistake again because I remember it like this. I was DJing the Pro-Am Swing and Hustle part of the afternoon, and I played a version of a song that I thought was the radio edit.
Oh, no.
I had a cuss word in the middle of it on a Sunday afternoon, and all the judges turned around and looked at me, and I was like, that's on me.
Whoops.
Yeah, because I didn't sample long enough to make sure it got to that part to see if it was the right version or not. So that's really how we remember the songs. We don't. we listen to it to make sure it's what we think it is. Now, Moose is better on just going from, hey, I need this song, and throwing it in there, and he's really good at that. She also asked why the songs are better late at night.
I've heard this.
My response was, you must have missed the good ones earlier. But to be completely honest, typically what happens when we pick up a room after competition ends, after the show ends, you have this intermediate time where your pros go to change and go to shower and stuff
Get
from the
food
show.
and relax.
Pro-Am all day. They go grab food real quick. They go grab a drink. Then they come back. So you have a little bit of time there, but you have your social dancers who want to dance. So this is a school of thought that you have to think about as a DJ of, okay, how do I keep these people having fun without the pros in here? Because there is a fraction of the people that go in the social room, honestly, just to watch pros dance. So what we want to do is we kind of follow the Mario Rabal school of thought. You want songs that drive, that have a heavy enough beat to where anybody can hear it. You don't want to play too much lyrical stuff because there's a lot of the social community who can't hear it, or it's too advanced. It makes them feel that they're not good enough to be in the room, which is, in my opinion, a different school of thought, but that's how they feel, and so you don't want that feeling going on. So you want songs that you know for sure are going to keep people going. So you're going to have solid medium speed two steps for the swing world, you're going to have good blues songs. You're going to have, top 40 that's been around for 10 years or so that everybody actually has heard the song and knows it. It won't be a song that came out last month because maybe there's people that would never listen to that genre in the first place in the ballroom until they hear it in the swing room, stuff like that.
That's fair.
So that's why it seems like later in the night, what you consider to be a quote unquote better song, you might hear more often there. But as far as looking at dance quality, the actual quality of the danceability of the song is probably better in the early night as far as for the general audience.
Yeah.
So that's the honest answer on that one.
Yeah.
And then, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I've heard Louis talk about that as well. And one of the things that he said is you want to be careful as an earlier night DJ of playing all the good stuff, because then you don't leave the other DJs coming up behind you with anything to play.
Right. And as far as looking at that exact thing from a club perspective, if you're an opener DJ and you go and you DJ and you play your heart out because you want to get a better gig next time, when the DJ comes in after you and he's mad because you played all of the stuff he was going to play, you're not getting a better gig. You're not getting a gig next time. You're getting fired next time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that is true through the whole industry of DJing. It's not just dance competition DJing. Now the good thing is, and it leads to the next question that Moose kind of mentioned, is the way that he and I DJ, because he and I co-DJ a lot of stuff, and in our opinion, and from what we've been told from a lot of other dancers, that this is when the night really gets good. It's because
when the alcohol comes into the programming.
Well, I mean, there's already been alcohol in the play at this point. But no, it's to where it's like, hey, do you remember this song? And then we play it, and it's like, oh yeah, and then that springs a song from the other one going, oh yeah, but do you remember this one? And then so we kind of try to one up each other all night of what was a better two-step than that one, and what was a better West Coast than that one that everybody loved. And so you're getting some nostalgic there, to where people are hearing old stuff that they remember, that this is why I started dancing and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're also getting some new stuff mixed in because, hey, yesterday we were in a restaurant eating, and Moose and I both do this, and Muzzy does the same thing. I don't know about Mona. We haven't really talked to her about it. But be sitting in a restaurant and you hear something in the background. You'd be watching a movie and a song comes on. You're like, I've never heard that version. Shazam. Or SoundHound, or whatever it is, to get that version of it.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of this stuff comes from. It's not when you're looking for music. It's when you're in your daily life and you find something that's like, oh yeah, well you played that. I bet you've never heard this version. And you play it, and all of a sudden the room loves it because it's something they've never heard, but they can still relate to it.
Yeah.
Because it's a song that they know. And that's how that stuff actually builds and becomes amazing, but it's not because it's really planned. It's because, hey, this is how we work together.
Interesting. Gordon on Facebook says, oh, hey, Muzzy's on. What's up, Muzzy?
Hey, Muzzy.
Gordon on Facebook says, DJ Ben Gordon. I am not a DJ. I am a playlist person. I go to a dance where I'm supposed to be providing my own music as the instructor. I teach a workshop and then I have a dance afterwards. I have a playlist where I copied Louis', well, not Louis', but I copied Louis. Louis told me to do they call it a California mix. So right. 3 West Coast and 2 two-steps and then something else, and I just do that all night. And people seem to like it, so I press play and then I go dance. I'm a dancer, I'm not a DJ, but it's pretty funny to watch me try and put music together.
Yeah, so playlist DJs, and I want to sound as politically correct as possible.
Be nice, we try.
There are plenty of people who get hired as events to be DJs, and they're playlist DJs. So I'm not saying you can't be good at it.
Yeah.
And a lot of studios, the way that studio dances are run, that's the correct way to do it, is to do a playlist. Because a lot of times, especially when you're in a studio and you have newer level dancers, they need to know what type dance is supposed to go to this song. So a lot of times you have to have a typed out list.
Yep.
So yeah, playlist DJ is the way to go in that scenario. I'm not saying that it's ever correct or ever completely wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
But in certain situations, it's right. As far as at an event to DJ, to really touch base with your full dance audience as much as possible, it's hard to do with a playlist.
Yeah.
Now, I do know people who use a playlist, and I've seen Louis do it, like if his software's down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We've all done it when our software's down. I'm not just naming Louis. Louis is a great guy. I love him. But like if your software's down and I have like in my iTunes, which I do not DJ from iTunes unless I'm DJing competition, just because I can't control volume as well with it as if I'm using my software. That's the reason, not some other reason. But I do have playlists that's like social playlist 1, social playlist 2. If I have to throw something in real quick and go work on a piece of equipment that's blowing up in another room or something like that.
That makes sense.
I have an hour I can buy myself with music. All right. So if my software goes down, something like that, and I throw in a playlist, you can still go drag in there and go, hey, that person over there hasn't danced in a couple of dances, and still go drag another song and add to that playlist.
Yeah.
That's always a possibility. And even the studio thing where you have a typed out playlist, you can always go on the microphone and go, hey, we're going to add in a 2-step here, or
100%.
we're going to add in the West Coast right here, and here you go. That way at least people can still follow around with the playlist, but you're not necessarily concreted in or cemented into we have to follow this exact list. But like there have been clubs that I've DJ'd before, country bars and stuff like that make you play the pie of an hour. The pie of an hour, if you've never seen it, it's a circle graph. This percentage has to be 2-step.
Yeah.
This percentage has to be line dance. This percentage has to be freestyle. This has to be slow dance, that kind of stuff. So even if you're playing that, you can make a playlist out to do that all day, all night. But are you hitting home with the audience? Probably not. You can still set to that pile list and independently pick each song and still hit it better with the community.
Yep.
But that's not saying it doesn't work for you or it doesn't work for a certain group, because I've been to places before that have been new for me to DJ, like in a different part of the state or something like that, and they don't like it when you just go in there and go, hey, here's a 2-step, and you play it.
Yeah.
They want to be prepared 5 songs in advance for something. So it's a lot of knowing your audience as a DJ, not necessarily knowing how to DJ.
Yeah. Gonna move on to a question from Joan on Facebook.
Hey, Joan.
Some DJs fade a song out at 3 minutes or so. If I know the song, I'm thinking we still have more time to dance, and I find it annoying. What are your thoughts? I have my own thoughts on this, but I'll let the professional go first.
I want to hear your thoughts. Let's hear yours.
We do that a lot in a studio setting or at a dance setting where we only have an hour, hour and a half, because we're wanting people to interact with each other more. So we play shorter songs. We'll play 1.5, 2-minute songs, so that way people are constantly switching partners. And also in that type of setting, especially like here at Dance Louisville Thursday nights is our big night. We have people who are here and they want to dance with the professionals. So we play shorter songs, 1.5, 2-minute songs, so that way we as the instructors can dance with more people as well.
I'm right there with you on that. Okay, so in a studio setting, where you only have an hour and a half dance or something like that. Now, if it's an open-ended dance where it can go as late as they want it to, I'll play the complete song.
Yeah.
But if it's only a slated hour and a half, 2-hour dance, then we'll fade out to get more dances and different type of dances in. If I'm at an event, the only way I'm going to fade out a song is if it's one that's so long and you're like, okay, this has been enough of this song. I have actually had an event director come up to me, and I'm not going to name names because it doesn't matter. It was the song, it wasn't them. And they're like, this is a long song. And you look down and you're like, hey, it has been playing for 4.5 minutes, and you're like, you're right. So that's something that you do have to take care of. So just throwing songs out there, Freebird's a 14-minute song. Not that we've ever played at an event, but still it's a 14-minute song. If you're playing a dance event, even if you're playing an open-ended night that could go 10 hours, just throwing a number out there, you still wouldn't play 14 minutes of the same song.
Yeah, it's a long time to dance. As a leader, I run out of moves.
But ballroom dances and dances at studios, and I meant that is ballroom, not ballroom. Dances at a studio when it's only like an hour and a half or 2 minutes, usually they'll fade at 2.5 or 3 minutes.
Yep.
and that's kind of common from what I understand. But yeah, if we're in the swing room and we're playing late night and it's a 4-minute song, I'll play the whole thing. If it's a 4.5, 5-minute song, I'm going to look at how much am I going to lose if I fade this out.
Yeah.
You know, is there a really good breakdown or something that I'm going to miss if I fade it? If there is, I'm going to leave it and let the people play with it.
Yeah.
But if you're not missing much other than a couple of words and not a whole lot of content, then I'm going to go ahead and fade it out and go to something else.
Perfect. Next question. As a competition DJ, how do you know what level a song is? So how do you decide a song is perfect or good for newcomers versus advanced and pros?
Okay, that's a great question.
And Gordon, this is your question, so let me know if we didn't get it right, and I'll try again.
All right, that's a great question. Honestly, if I'm going, okay, so first of all, the behind the scenes part of it is when you're a competition DJ, typically they give you heat sheets, and the heat sheets tell you how many heats of what dance and what level you need. So you're able to pull that music ahead of time. Now, if it's Jack and Jill, you may learn on the fly, okay, we're doing 1 heat, we're doing 2 heats, we're doing 3 heats, and you just got to pull music quickly. All right, so that's the behind the scenes part. Now, how do you decide the song? That really, a lot of it goes by experience. For a newcomer, novice, I'm going to give you something that you've heard over and over and over and over again. Because at that point, that's now comfortable for you because you're familiar with it. Intermediate, I may give you a different version of a song that you know.
That's fun.
So that, okay, there's some familiarity, but there's still more to play with because it's still kind of new for me. And because at intermediate, kind of we want to see how you react to something, not necessarily what's rehearsed.
It's fair.
At least me anyway. In the advanced division, good luck. You're going to get whatever I think is cool at the moment. I mean, honestly, I'm going to go with like the coolest thing I think that there is. Now, with that being said, also some more behind the scenes. It depends on your event director and who's in charge. If Mario Rabal is running an event, and he'll be fine with me saying this, which is why I'm using his name. If Mario Rabal is running an event, you will not hear me play a lyrical song. Period. He wants blues and things that you can hear the beat in and everything. And
That's
there's
fair.
a reason, because that's what swing is.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's completely fair, and it leaves it fair across the board, which is why I'm like, yeah, cool, that's a great idea. Let's stay with it. When he does his pure dance events, he asks us as DJ, don't play lyrical, I don't want to hear it. Because that does make the newer dancers uncomfortable. It makes them go, wait, I thought we were dancing swing. I don't hear a beat to this song. You know, and it is musically more of an implied beat.
Yeah. A lot
than a drum actually give you a low and a high for a 1 and a 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes complete sense why he likes it that way. And so, yeah, I kind of use that when I'm doing newcomer and novice as far as for DJing stuff too. I kind of try to keep that in mind and go, I don't want to play above their listening level, much less just dancing.
Yeah. What about, and this is something I'm curious for, what kind of drives the songs that are chosen in country? So in country, we have newcomer, novice, intermediate, advanced, or division 4, 3, 2, 1. And there's definitely different songs in them. So what drives I don't want you to speak for Muzzy and Mona and everybody else, but if you are the one in charge of the session, what drives your decision for the songs that are played?
Okay, so so far, myself, I've only DJ'd, as far as UCWC goes, sanctioned stuff, I've only DJ'd line dance. Okay, so that is completely dictated of here's the music that you're playing.
Yeah.
Right? So there's nothing to think about there. But for what I do know about the background of everyone else, because everybody has to play on a level playing field,
Yeah.
There is an approved list that the UCWC uses that this level has this version, this level has this level has this. It doesn't dictate which ones they have to use.
Okay.
It's personal choice which ones they use for what heat and stuff like that. But there is an approved list, and there are cut versions that are phrased correctly so that they don't screw up things.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's just what I know about it, so I don't know.
Fair enough. Moving on to a couple of questions on YouTube. Anthony, I'm going to ask your question here in a minute, but I'm going to go with George's question first because it fits into the conversation. George asks us, do you ever repeat a song in a single session?
Okay, are we talking about competition or just DJing socially?
Socially.
Okay, so socially. Okay, so here's my background for DJing club stuff.
And that's what you DJ a social room like you would if you were out at a club?
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so the club I DJ'd here in Birmingham, I was a backup here for years for my roommate. We DJ'd a bar that was an 80s, 90s, and top 40 bar.
Okay.
We had a 9-hour shift, and we would stay open later if needed. No lunch, no breaks. If you had to go to the bathroom, you did it in the middle of a song and got back.
Fair enough.
It was requested that we not repeat a song.
Oh.
All right. So using that school of thought and looking at music libraries that we have, if I have 1,000 songs for West Coast Swing, I don't have a reason to repeat a song.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I'm there to make the room happy. If somebody comes up and requests a song and I've already played it, but I played it 3 hours ago,
yeah,
sure, I'll play it again. I'm not going to play it on my own, but if somebody requests it, I'm not going to tell them, no, I've already played it. Now, if I played 2 songs ago, I'll be like, give me an hour or so and I'll play it then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can repeat, but only if there's a need for it.
Okay, that makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense. All right. Let's see here. We've already talked about switching or different songs for that. So we're going to switch topics just a little bit. Anthony brings up the question. So we've done some country swing lessons on West Coast Swing Online. Actually, they were for Social Dance Online. Sorry, Brian. The question is, what are your thoughts on country swing? Anthony seems to find himself in a community where they love the dips and the aerials, and it's hard for him to get people interested in West Coast swing because of how technical it is. So, what do you think?
That's a catch-22. Okay, so as we discussed earlier, if you were on, I'm not sure if you were or not, Anthony, my background in dance competitively is showcase. So we do lifts, we do drops, we do splits, all that kind of stuff, the dangerous stuff.
Jonathan's really good at the splits himself.
Well, no, I'm not. I can do it once. I can do it once, and then it's a trip to the hospital for a while.
$500 splits.
Split, ow, there went the pants. Okay, so, and I've actually had this discussion with Kyle Redd at one point, and it's kind of cool that we talked about it, because Kyle's a great guy. If you've ever had a chance to sit down and talk to him, he's really a great guy.
Can you explain Kyle Redd for people who don't know who he is?
Yeah, if you don't know who Kyle Redd is, go search Kyle Redd, Sarah Van Drake, and watch YouTube for hours. You're going to have
phenomenal dancer. Absolutely amazing.
He has the best footwork, hands down, of any West Coast swing dancer. And if you ever ask him what his feet are doing, he's like, I don't know, they're just moving the music. And that's how it is. And it's phenomenal to watch. They're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun as far as just hanging out with them. And they're amazing. If you get to sit in a ballroom late at night when you're done dancing and they're still dancing, if you can just go sit in the corner and watch, phenomenal stuff you're going to watch, because they pull stuff out of their rear end and you're like, wow, that's going to routine next week. Yeah, they're phenomenal, and they're great people. They're down to earth. They're fun. But a discussion that he and I had, it's first of all, you kind of have to understand my personality. As I mentioned earlier, in my personality, in my thoughts about myself and my dancing, I don't have a large ego about it. I'm never as good as I want to be. I never think that, hey, I beat X person, and I'm better at them. I'm just going to dance the best I can and have the most fun as I can that day. All right. With that being said, and I think Kyle and I, we've worked together when I was competing on the swing circuit before, so I think he knows me well enough on that level to, at this time, to have had that conversation. Went to Grand Nationals and made it to finals in Advanced Jack and Jill, and I don't know, played second or third. I forgot where I was. But watching other couples out of the corner of your eyes and stuff like that, it was a bunch of drops and a bunch of weight giving moves and weight taking moves and stuff like that. With my background as a showcase dancer, I know how fast you can get hurt taking someone's weight or somebody giving you new weight when you're not ready for it. I've had trips to the hospital for partners and for myself when things didn't go the way we planned and we both knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Much less hoping someone that you drew in a dance understands your lead enough to know that you want them to give you their full weight.
Yeah.
So the conversation that Kyle and I had was, at what point does this stop drawing the extra points in competition? Do you have to do drops and stuff and tricks like that to be able to win? And he's like, that would be a really good discussion to have with a bunch of like the upper people in the panel and stuff like that to kind of just see what they feel about it. Because at some point, we're going to start getting a lot of people hurt.
Yeah.
Luckily it hasn't happened a lot. It does happen, but we're all dancers. We get hurt. That's part of it. And if you watch Benji's retirement speech, he talks about all the injuries
swimmer.
He's had. Right, Benji Swimmer. Yeah, you see all the injuries he's had. He talks about that. And so, I mean, it's a real thing in showcase dance. So, how do you get people from seeing that as the cool thing into actually doing West Coast swing?
Yeah.
That's hard.
I think I kind of misled you a little bit as far as country swing. Country swing's like the bar swing that you see. It's a mix of hustle and East Coast swing.
Oh, like the one-step swing stuff.
Yes, one-step swing. That's what he's talking about. So he's in a community that does a lot of that, and he's having trouble drawing people over to West Coast.
Yeah, luckily we don't have that here.
It's a fun dance. It's fun.
Yeah, every time I see it on the internet, I'm the same way with you. How do you get those people to actually want to dance?
West Coast
because
swing.
they think they are dancing, and to an extent, sure, they're dancing together. Is it a real structured dance where they're not hurting each other? A lot of times I feel sorry for the ladies' arms because it looks like they're getting ripped out of sockets. I don't honestly know. I haven't been put in that situation where I have to get those people to actually dance. But I will say this, from getting line dancers to couples dance or couples dancers to line dance,
it's hard.
It's very hard, but don't talk negatively about what they're doing. What they're doing, say, hey, that's great, that's awesome. Would you like to try this also? And include it versus being, you're doing this, we want you to do this.
Yeah.
Try to get them kind of weaned over, because like the way I cross over from line to couples was I was a line dancer and I was completely fine only line dancing in the bar, and then it got to where, okay, now in between line dances I'm bored, so now let's go learn this two-step thing, because why not? Everybody's doing it. And then it became to where Brian Barakauskas and myself, we had a conversation on Bourbon Street like 5 years ago or 3 years ago, and he goes, hey, and you were there, Ben, like, who would have thought 10 years ago that the two of us would be sitting here in a bar as couples masters?
Yeah.
Because 10 years ago, both of us were only line dancers. Like we social danced some, but that was it. So that was kind of an eye-opening kind of thing is everybody can cross over, but if you approach them as what you're doing is wrong or what you're doing is not real dancing or it's going to get you hurt. If you talk about it negatively first, you're never going to get them there.
Yeah.
If you come to them as, hey, that's cool, and you appreciate what they're doing, and then try to get them to grow into another area, that's a better possibility.
Yeah. I also think West Coast swing is a very hard dance for people whenever they're first starting, especially because, we have patterns that move in different directions. We have patterns that are different lengths that kind of change the structure of the pattern in the middle of it. Whips are weird. They're super fun, but they're weird. Is to try and also figure out, this is what you're doing, and then it's really good for these songs that you're dancing to. But here's some really cool songs that you like that you can't do that to necessarily, but here's a super fun dance that you can. Right. And try and say, point out here's a song, like Jonathan said, I can't line dance to this song, so I'm going to go do a two-step to it because I want to keep dancing.
Right.
So I think that's a great way to go about it as well.
Right. And even like what you're saying as far as West Coast being hard, just to go ahead and put it out there, when I first learned West Coast, it was the old country West Coast with the tap and push and coaster step.
Hey.
I hated it. I hated West Coast swing.
Yeah.
And it's funny, when I went to my first competition, I walked in the swing room and I was like, what are they doing? I want to learn this. And they're like, they're doing West Coast. I was like, no, they're not. That's what I learned is this, this stuff that's just weird. And they're like, no, that's what they do in a bar. And that's what swing used to be. This is what swing is now. And that's one thing I think I love about swing so much, is that it does grow and that it doesn't stay stagnant. So that's an awesome thing. So using the music to get them into it, that could be a great thing too.
Yep. Going back to DJing just a little bit,
Yep.
a person from YouTube was curious, how often do you take requests during social dancing versus the songs that you've planned or that you're wanting to play?
I will always take requests. However, here's the funny part. I may not play it next, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to play it.
Fair.
As long as I have it or I have the means to download it while I'm playing something else, when it fits kind of in my rotation like we talked about earlier of, okay, the majority of the room's fitting this, I'm going to listen to it as soon as you ask for it, as soon as I find it. In my software that I use, I have a folder that's a planning folder, or I forgot what it's actually called, like when you're setting stuff up. I can throw it up there in that folder so that I know it's there, and I can go listen to a sample of it to see, okay, especially if I don't know the song, okay, this is like a blues song, so when I get ready for a blues song, I'm throwing this one in there.
That's fair.
So now if I haven't played a blues song in a few minutes, it might be the next song. And I may tell you right then, yeah, I got it, and I'll play it for you next, no problem. But also at the same time, if you ask for it and it doesn't fit at all in the night, because we do get those requests every once in a while, and they're like, well, at my studio we dance this to it, and you're like, I don't know how you hear that, but okay.
Fair enough.
And at that point, it may be one of those that you keep in your folder, and when you see that the ballroom's dying down, but that person's still in there, you play it then. I try not to ever say no. Now, if you come in there and you ask for the chicken dance, and it's not a playful room, I'm not going to play the chicken dance. Now, if it's, say, Peach State or Dixie, where we're playing games and we're having fun, you might hear the chicken dance.
Yeah.
It's never completely off the table. It's you got to know the room and play the room. But yeah, I will always take requests. It may just be a minute or two before you hear it, or an hour before you hear it, or something like that.
Fair enough.
But as long as I have it or can get it, I'll try to play it.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I know Louis talked about on the cruise. He gets, what were they, like an hour and a half dances every night? So he had maybe 7-8 hours of dancing.
Right.
And there were 100 people on the cruise. So if you're even if you're paring every song down to 2 minutes, and you have 100 people asking, that's 200 minutes worth of requests.
And what you have done to play.
Exactly, right? And so it's hard for DJs. It puts them in a rough position sometimes too, because you just don't have time if everybody's requesting something.
Or even, like you said, if you're on the boat, especially, if you're on the cruise, they don't like you calling it a boat, but if you're on the ship,
If you're on the boat.
even if you pay for the internet service is so shoddy on there.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't have a song, you're probably not going to be able to download it by the end of that dance anyway.
Yep.
It's going to be
It's the next night.
a day or so before you get it. So, yeah, that puts you in a hard position as well.
Yeah. Very cool. I do know, so that's all the questions we have on YouTube and Facebook right now. Throw out any questions that you have. Jonathan's a very smart guy. I've seen some...
Win.
Win. Don't lie about me. No.
Don't tell me about it.
But there was one question on the thing that you shared yesterday about spins and turns.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so first of all, we are on West Coast Swing Online.
Yeah.
.com. They do have a lot of stuff about how to do spins and turns. There are plenty of technical help, and I think Benji's going to take us right there and show it to you now.
Yep.
While he's pulling that up, I'll go ahead and let you know. When I'm working on spins and turns, whether it's myself or with students or any other thing, I start slow. Start slow and start small. It's kind of the same thing I was thinking about talking about as far as the competition thing earlier. If I start small, I can have positive impact in my body faster than if I try to go full for it and do it badly. Because I can do small things better than I can do big things. So if I do small rotations first and say quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, get that completely down, then go up to half turn, then go 3/4 turn, then go for full spin, stuff like that, I can make a better dramatic improvement in my body and then through my movements than I can if I try to go with bad form and go for a full turn. Also, a thing that's called the Alexander method. If you've heard of it or if you haven't, look into it. It's a great thing. It's a way of doing positive and negative influence in your body. And you take a drill and you do it, say, 10 times. Out of that 10 times, 9 times you're going to do it right. And as you do it right, you're going to, out loud, you're going to say audibly correct or right. And then on purpose, one time, you're going to mess it up. And out loud, you're going to say wrong or no. Okay? And it's the thing called the Alexander method, and it really works. And what it does, it gets your body used to positive affirmation and negative affirmation when you're doing things right and doing things wrong. So your body actually gets to where it relates. When you do something wrong, it automatically corrects to the right thing. Huh. And it's weird, but it works. And it's actually a thing. You can search it. You can Google it.
It's on the internet.
It's on the internet, so it has to be true, right? Yeah. But yeah, Benji, I'm sure is going to show you now like where it is on West Coast.
I just dropped a link in Facebook and in YouTube to our West Coast Swing Online resources for spins and turns. So take a look at that. You can sign up for the course if you're interested. Brian just relaunched our Ultimate Guide to Spins and Turns version 2.0. Guess it's not a relaunch, it's a launch of version 2.0. A lot of really good resources in that as well.
It's a new launch.
Yeah, so Google it. You really can. You can. It's really cool.
It's online too.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I talked earlier about Atomic Habits and the book and some of the things from that. But then also in the Talent Code, there's some really interesting thoughts on being audible whenever you're doing something. So you have some pattern that you're doing in your body. Brian's really big whenever you're rolling forward through the foot in rhythm dance of going toe ball, heel, knee, rib. And so actually calling that out as you're practicing your transition through to the next step of audibly saying toe ball, heel, knee, rib as you're going through it, so that way you are consciously teaching your brain what you're wanting it to do. And then even whenever you're doing it faster, you're still saying toe ball, heel, knee, rib, toe ball, heel, knee, rib as you're progressing through. I was working on my cha-cha basics earlier, and I'm working on getting my foot to the floor quicker right now. So as I was transitioning my weight, I was thinking settle, heel. Because as I was settling my right hip, I want my left heel to already be going towards the ground. And so I was saying settle, heel out loud and watching myself, making sure that as I said it, that I was able to get that foot to the floor the way that I wanted it to. Might not have had the weight over the foot yet, but the foot was still where it was ready to accept weight.
The place was
Exactly. So I was being purposeful as I was going through, working in waltz on which side of the body is swinging through for my choreography. And I'm legitimately saying, okay, right foot is on the floor, weight's on the right foot, rotate through the right hip, but left side is what's bringing my body through as I'm rotating through the left or through the right hip. And audibly calling those things out as you practice is actually really, really good for your brain and for you to be able to build those neural networks to do what you want them to.
Right. And when you talked about reading earlier, I thought to mention, but I didn't say anything. There's a book that's a great book. If you are into reading things for self-help kind of stuff that gears towards dance stuff, Zen Golf is such a great book. And you're going to say, hey, I don't play golf. It doesn't matter. It's a sports psychology book. And even though it says Zen, it's not a religious book. It doesn't have anything to do with Buddhism or any of that kind of stuff. It does explain, okay, this is the basis of it because it's a whole thought process, right? But it's not like trying to convert you into anything that you're not willing to look at. All right. It's like a page or two lesson are, usually it's just one page as far as each little lesson thing. And it's ways to think through sports actions.
Oh.
And so like one thing is like for golf, if you're like myself and you hit the ball in the water all the time,
You'd have to hit the ball for it to go in the water.
I mean, if there's a beer behind me, my golf ball's going to spill it. That's how good I am with hitting
JB,
liquid.
at least you can hit the ball, though. See, I never make it in the water because I never actually hit the ball.
Yeah, I can do that. Okay, so one of those things it talks about is if you're on the tee box and there's water everywhere, okay? You don't say to your body, don't hit it in the water. You say something to your body that's positive, like, hey, look how big the fairway is, how much room I have to hit it in.
Yeah.
And you do that kind of stuff. The same thing is turning. If you have trouble doing like a shinny turn, if you tighten your body up and get all nervous about it and say don't fall in a shinny turn, your body hears what you say.
Yep.
So your body hears fall in shinny turn. So you fall in the turn. I mean, that's literally what happens. So if you go in there and you go, if you have the drills to where you're used to audibly saying your steps through a turn, so like for a shinny, quarter, three-quarter for your turn, right? And if you go in there and you step up and you go prep, quarter, three-quarter, your body hears that and automatically goes to the steps versus going don't fall, because it goes, oh, fall, So that's things that you have to look at, and that book's really great about that. And off Amazon, it's like $10. It maybe 20.
Yeah.
It's pretty cheap, and it's a nice little bathroom book because it's short, little one-page lessons. While you're sitting there, go ahead and learn something, right?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Couple of different questions going back to DJing. The first one is, what are your favorite West Coast swing songs at the moment?
Wow.
Just give us your top 2 or 3, maybe 4.
Be completely honest with you. I haven't updated my stuff since March, so
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't updated anything because there haven't been events going on. So honestly, I couldn't tell you right now what's my favorite one out there because I haven't looked. But as far as music, for me, music is such a big part of life, and whether you're a music fan or not, I mean, if you listen to radio at all, or you watch TV, or you watch movies, or anything like that, music has a big impact on your life. And for me, especially as a DJ, and I realized this maybe 20 years ago. I'm in there in a bar playing, and the bar we used to DJ here in Birmingham literally capacity was 250, and on Friday and Saturday night we would have 500 in there. I mean, it was that kind of crowd.
Don't tell the fire marshal.
Yeah, they knew a couple times and threw us out and stuff. When you see, or you can see from a DJ booth, you're up over the crowd, and you hit play, and you see the whole mood of the room change when a song comes on. You realize then how strong music has an influence on people. So as far as what my favorite song West Coast Swing is right now, it could be totally different than yours, and only because of what I personally connect with that song with.
Yeah.
So currently, even though it doesn't go with Mario Ball's School of Thought, I love acoustic covers, and I do it because I love music. Not necessarily that it's the best song to dance to, because it's not. But as far as somebody else's twist on a song is so good. And I will tell you one that I'm really digging right now. I gotta find it though. Where was it? Who sent it to me? There is a blues version. I think I know who sent it to me. Oh, come on. Don't you love when that happens?
Always.
Yeah. So it puts you on the spot, and you're like, I don't know.
We just lost 30 viewers. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, really. Okay, so a blues cover of Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Guns N' Roses song by Jacques Van Lille. Jacqueus.
You're from Birmingham. It's not his fault.
Do what?
Said you're from Birmingham. It's not your fault.
Yeah, I'm from Alabama, so whatever. But yeah, look that up on YouTube. It's on there, and I'll be honest with you, that right now is one of my favorites, just because it's a different twist, but it does have a good blues beat. You can for sure hear it for West Coast. love that. So I can't give you a full list of stuff that I'm digging right now because honestly, I haven't been looking for new stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen for the social dances for West Coast whenever we get back into events? Do you think it's going to be completely new music, or do you think DJs are going to be relying on what they know works and they'll be bringing in songs that have been released since we've been on quarantine?
I think it depends on your DJ, because there are DJs that are known for bringing just new stuff.
Yeah.
And they're going to go with what's expected of them, I think.
Okay.
Now, if you go to an event where Moose and myself are playing, you're going to hear the familiar stuff with some new stuff mixed in.
Okay.
Just because the core crowd where we DJ typically, and because it's the two of us usually all night long, playing together, we're going to keep them dancing with what we know is going to keep going. But you are going to hear some stuff that we're like, dude, I'm digging this so much, I know they're going to dance to it.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. You may not hear quite as much off the wall stuff. He and I tend to hold the off the wall stuff until it's proven on like the swing circuit where we see people really dancing to it, and then it's like, okay, now I'll throw this in. Yeah, Moose just put a tag in there, the Sweet Child of Mine version. Really good song.
I'll copy that over to YouTube so that way they can see it too.
I just gave away one of my new favorites before I played it at an event, by the way. So
it's fine.
You're welcome, West Coast Swing Online. Yeah, so
nice.
That's something I typically don't do. It's like, no, I'm gonna be the first one to play this one. Dang it! And then yeah. But no, that's a good song. I couldn't hold it back. It's a good one.
Cool.
Good question.
Moving on a little bit. Judy from Facebook is wondering what you suggest for a small social dance of just 15 to 30 people. They try to stick to safe West Coast swing tunes, but how can they explain to somebody that a requested song doesn't match their audience? So whether that's for, I'm going to expand it just a little bit. She asked for skill level, but also, we have different age groups as well that like to listen to different types of music too.
Right.
So how do you explain to somebody that their song doesn't match their audience?
All right. If you looked at me look in the corner, I was reading it as you were reading it too.
Yeah, I know. I'm sharing my screen so Jonathan can see the questions as I'm bringing them up.
People don't think I was just staring at the table for something.
Might have been. Who knows?
I might have been. That's why I had to explain. I couldn't. If you know me, he's lost in space. A lot of times it's just as simple as being completely blunt with somebody and going, we like your request and thank you for it. We have a majority of newcomer dancers here right now, and right now that song is above their head or would make them feel uncomfortable. So if you'll wait towards the end of the night, we can try to throw it in, something like that. And I'll be completely honest with you. If the person comes back to you, and this happens in bars and at dances, at studios, at events, or whatever,
everywhere,
if they go, well, I was about to leave, could you play it?
Don't play it.
Here's a hint. If they were about to leave, let them leave. If they use that as an excuse for wanting you to play a song right then, guess what? Especially from the bar point of view, and if you're owning a studio and you're trying to make this dance thrive, if they want you to play a song that's not going to go with what your agenda is anyway, and then they're going to leave, why not just let them leave? You don't want to break up your momentum to appease one person that wants to leave, so they want you to play this song.
Yeah.
If they're willing to wait till the end of the night, sure, play it then. Let them have their fun and play with it, but don't let them work you in order to play something because they want it played when it's played.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, as long as it fits the agenda, most of the time I'm going to play it as soon as I can. But if it's like 9:30 at night and somebody comes and asks me for, one of those 2 o'clock in the morning, like slow lyrical, or even blues, just slow blues that everybody's going to dig real late at night. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's a little early for that, but I'll get it to you. I promise I'll play it, but it's going to be a couple hours.
Yeah.
And just be completely honest with them. A lot of people tend to like or appreciate honesty. Some people don't, but honesty does go a long way. And if you tell them you're going to play it, make sure you play it.
Yeah.
Because they'll remember, like, even if it's like, look, I was supposed to play this, they told me I got to shut the room down. I'll cut the middle of the song that I'm playing now and go, look, they told me I got to shut down, so here's your last song, and play it.
Yeah.
And that way the person knows you at least made the effort for it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I think from a studio perspective as well, so somebody who's trying to grow a community, you do want to be careful with making sure that the people in your community don't feel ostracized or left out because you're playing a lyrical song and they don't know how to dance to it, or they don't know how to find the beat whenever the only beat that they get is the singer's voice.
Right, and that's exactly why Mario doesn't want to play at his events.
Yeah.
Right.
And so if somebody asks for that, like Jonathan said, it's like, that doesn't fit our audience, and here's why.
Right.
If you have an older audience, and it's a thing, there are areas where most of your dancers are over 50 years old, which is awesome. It's perfect. But they're not necessarily wanting to listen to the song that just came out last month. Sometimes those areas, they want to dance to the music that they grew up with. So
and they can surprise you too.
Say what?
And they can surprise you too.
Yeah.
So being closed-minded in either direction is never a good idea.
Correct.
Right.
So yeah, 100%. Try to put it in there and just let them know why. Next question. Are there swing? So talking about Mario, or this is coming from your question from Mario, comment about Mario and not wanting lyrical songs at his events. Are there swing dance events where they say you can play some two-steps and mix it in, and are there events where they're like, this is swing and that's all we get?
From my experience of events that I've been to, and okay, when I was competing on the swing circuit, yeah, it was 8-9 years ago. But I can't remember an event that didn't play at least something else. It may not have been two-step, but a two-step, or say a foxtrot, or something to break up the monotony of the whole night. I know that Grand Nationals, they usually throw a two-step or two in through the period of the night. Maybe a cha-cha here or there, and a lot of good stuff about West Coast music, especially the stuff that they're playing now. A lot of it crosses over, and it's not necessarily a swing beat, which is there's the fight with some people. But
this is a rumba.
There are cha-chas that are played as swings, and you can go cha-cha to it if you want something different. Yeah. There are songs that are, in theory, some of the lyrical stuff is actually nightclub or a rumba. And you can go do that instead of actually doing swing. I mean, they're both still stationary-ish dances. Yeah. You can do them in a smaller area. So, yeah, I don't think – I know I've never been on staff and been told, do not play a two-step or do not play that, But the majority is, especially if it's the Mario weekends that I'm talking about, they're workshop weekends. Mm-hmm. There's no competition. There's no show. We're coming to teach. We're coming to build. We're coming to do that. So in looking at his thought process, everything's positive. Yeah. So everything is to help you build. So he wants the music to help you build as well. It's fair. So, so it's not a negative thing of him going, I don't want this here. It's him going, hey, look, I want the people to feel comfortable and be able to build on what they learned today and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's a positive reason that he does it. Yeah. So, at the same time, I don't think I've ever been to an event where they said, never play a two-step, Yeah.
Two-step bad. Just a comment on YouTube about how can we imagine the songs that they'll play in 30 years at our senior citizen homes. Nope, don't want to think about it.
They'll probably still be playing what they play in the 90s, because look at what we're playing now.
Yeah, I know, right? Especially on the country scene.
A lot of its remixes are, music samples itself, so, it's fun to watch. Yeah.
Yep, perfect. Did you have any other questions on the thing that you shared? Because we are out of questions on Facebook and YouTube.
What did I share? Oh, no, that was it. I had the Melissa ones and the spins and turn question.
Perfect. All right. Well, it's been a lot of fun. I'm going to give you all one more chance to throw in any questions that you have as we wrap this up. But Jonathan, it's been a ton of fun sitting here and talking with you. I don't know where the last hour and a half went.
No kidding. That went quick. I thought we were going to be like struggling to get an hour. We got almost 2.
I didn't think we'd make it to half an hour, let's be honest here. But appreciate everybody else tuning in. Remember, you can find us on westcoastswingonline.com. If you go to westcoastswingonline.com/live, you can see our schedule for our classes. They happen at the same time for the most part. We just kind of vary what we teach. But you can find us there. You can also find us on countrydanceonline.com and socialdanceonline.com. We have all the online.coms right now, Jonathan.
Fun Cruise online.
Yeah, hey, there you go.
Dancefun.com. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but there's that. Anything else? Any other thoughts, Jonathan?
Not
Oh,
that I can
Gordon.
think of.
Gordon, what
Oh, wait,
question did
Gordon.
I miss?
We must have missed a Gordon question.
Gordon, what'd I miss? I thought I got us. Oh, was it the social one? How does a DJ know what song to play? Oh, we did miss that question.
Oh.
So how do you know as a DJ what songs to play at different times in social events?
Okay, so
Sorry, Gordon.
touched a little bit on it as far as the thought process. How did that go down there? So early in the night when like the pros and stuff are going to change and stuff like that, we want to stick to the music that everybody knows, that's been around for a long time, that has a good solid beat, that everybody can hear, everybody can feel, the stuff that's just comfortable to dance to. That's also when, as a DJ, you go through, especially if it's a room that you've never DJ'd before or a crowd you've never DJ'd before, when you play your different sample stuff to figure out what groups of people are dancing to what types of music, what speeds of music, different genres and that kind of stuff. And you kind of make your mental notes of that kind of stuff. So that goes on early in the night to kind of see what's working, what's not working. As people start getting in there and it gets more crowded, that's typically when you go up in speed and more of the faster music. But you have to remember, you can't go too heavy on fast because then you'll get everybody too tired and all go to bed. So you have to cycle in some slow or some medium. You'll only play like 1 or 2 real slow songs an hour towards the middle of the night. And then as you see people getting more inebriated or, not maybe the crowd's dying off a little bit as far as who's dancing and who's sitting around. As they start sitting around more, you start shifting to slower music because a lot of times that's a good sign that, hey, they're starting to get tired.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will go ahead and say that if you ever hear a complaint, and it's a valid complaint, err on the side of what they say is probably right, and test the waters and see. If you're playing fast music or driving music, it's what we like to use. It's not necessarily fast. It's just stuff with a good driving beat where everybody can hear it. If I'm playing that and I hear somebody say, hey, this stuff's too fast, I'm going to take it for that it's word that, hey, maybe they really think that, So I'm going to test the waters with it. With that particular person, I'm going to play a slow song, watch that person and see, okay, is the person drunk? Or does the whole room come back to life or change, or did nothing change other than the song? If nothing changed other than the song, I'm going to keep up with kind of what I was doing and then just throw something like what they suggested in every once in a while to keep them dancing more.
Fair enough.
But I'm not going to change the whole room just because of them. Now, if the whole room reacts positive, we're going to make a shift that way. Yeah. So you kind of let the room dictate it. And as they start dying off, you go slower and slower and slower. But still, when you go slow, you still don't want to go completely slow. Every once in a while, you want to pick it up to something medium or medium fast. And then, let it dwindle on slow.
For those of us who aren't DJ experts, what is slow, medium, fast from a BPM perspective? Kind of what's your range of what's slow, what's medium, what's fast?
This is going to be really funny, and honestly, there's no technical answer.
I'm sure everybody has their own opinion.
Right. Now, as far as technical BPM, yeah, sure, you can go actually listen to what you think, but there are songs that sound slower that are actually higher BPM, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I kind of go more off the feel of the song, more so than the actual speed. Because let's see. Crap. I'm trying to think of a song off the top of my head. That's great because that's not going to work. Um, so, God, what is that song? There's a song that's this kind of a slow feeling song.
Moose, help us out.
Yeah,
You can read Jonathan's brain.
really, you probably could. Put your records on. Maddie, what's her name? That's not her name. Anyway, put your record on. It sounds really soft and mellow, but it's actually a little bit quicker song when you're looking at the BPM. But it fits later at night, even though it is Karina Bailey Ray. I was kind of close.
Corinne Bailey Ray, for those of you who aren't from Alabama.
You're right. Yeah. But I don't even know what the BPM is on it, but I know it's a little bit faster footwork wise than what it feels as far as the feel of the song. So it would go later in the night, even though it's not necessarily a slow song. So a lot of what I use is more the feel of the song, more so than what the BPM is. If I'm looking at BPM for rating what I'm using, that's usually just for, like if you're using competition stuff. If I'm doing like the Pro-Am swing stuff in the afternoons at some of the country events, we try to keep, Moose and I do the same thing. Like if it's, Muzzy just used a great example. Feels Like Love by Vince Gill is 200 beats per minute, and it's a fast two-step, but it feels so relaxed and so calming. If you listen to the song, Vince Gill's voice, it's so clean and makes you feel relaxed, even though you're trucking around the floor. That's a great example. The feel of stuff actually goes way more. What I was saying, where did I go? The Jack and Jill, the Pro-Am swing stuff. We try to go with, newcomer, we're staying within 1 to 2 BPM for that whole division.
So you'll try to stay between like 96 and 98 or 100 and 102, whatever it is.
We decide feels right for what we DJ'd the 2 nights before, because usually that's Sunday. So we have a decent feel of the whole crowd by that
makes
point,
sense.
Right. So yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Thanks, Muzzy.
Thanks, Moose. Thanks, Muzzy.
And Moose. Yeah.
Perfect. For those of you who don't know, Dave Muzzy is a very big DJ on the country circuit. Jonathan, I don't know if he does other circuits as well, but I know he's been around on the country circuit for quite a while, and all the events that he DJs.
I think he does some swing stuff too.
Does he too? Always love it. Muzzy, I don't know how he did it, but he somehow played a song from Pitch Perfect 3. It's the last song from the movie, and he played it at Worlds when we were in California, and it was like a couple days or something like that after the movie came out, and I was like, how do you already have this? It was brilliant. So he comes out with some really fun music. Oh, he used to do hustle and swing. Okay. Very cool.
There you go. I think the most fun I remember from Muzzy is I was sitting in the stands one year during awards and started realizing that the background music was instrumentals to video games. That's awesome.
That's phenomenal. So Muzzy's a very great DJ as well. Love events that he's at.
Muzzy and Moose both are great. Their music libraries are huge, and they're both fun to work with.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not to leave out another big name DJ, but Mona Broussard, I think she was watching. She's just not being active in chat. But she's great as well. She's in the Country Hall of the UCW DC Hall of Fame. Been around for a very long time and great at DJing as well.
Right.
Very cool. All right. Well, Jonathan, I'm going to check YouTube one more time, but I think. Oh, can you list the music that has been mentioned? What I will try to do, George, is I will try to go back through and list the songs that we mentioned, and then I will see if I can't get Emily to add it into the description, but I can't make you any promises because I don't know how that works. But I'll try to go back through because I don't remember it all. I don't know if you remember all the random songs we've been throwing out, Jonathan. But I'll try to go back through and make a list of the music that is described. So check back probably today's Saturday. I know Emily is busy for the next couple of days. So yeah, check back probably next Thursday or Friday in the description of this video on YouTube, and I'll see if I can't get that put there. But again, I can't make any promises because I don't know how that works, but we'll see if we can't do it. But yeah, super fun, Jonathan. Appreciate you coming on here. Appreciate everybody who's been active in chat. And we will be back on Monday for our I believe we're doing a West Coast swing lesson on Monday. But we'll be back on Monday at 8 o'clock and 8:30 for our 2 classes. And we hope to see you all again on a dance floor soon. And Jonathan, I'm going to say goodbye to you here, but I'm going to stay with you there. So go ahead and say goodbye to everybody if you want. Oh, that's Skype. Don't close out of that.
Goodbye, everybody, and come see us on the cruise and dance with us soon.
Yes. And assuming the event goes on, which I really hope it does, we'll be at Indy, or I'll be at Indy. Jonathan, do you go to Indy?
I haven't yet.
Oh.
It usually ends up conflicting, but trying.
Perfect. Well, at least myself and the rest of the Dance Louisville crew will all be at Indy Dance X at the end of June. So come hang out with us there. Melissa, again, she does an amazing job. Really looking forward to it. Again, we'll see you all on a dance floor.